Cuenta una leyenda. Quiero el hijo primero. De un armiño con los ojos grises. De padre Canet.
Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have Hijo de la Luna by Mecano. I received a request for a cover version of this song. I hadn't heard of Mecano or the song. I didn't even know it was a cover song that was requested for me until I googled it. I thought it was the other group's original song. I came onto YouTube to find the original, as I always do, and saw it has 157 million views. That tells me it's maybe quite a famous song, and maybe I have a bit of cause to be embarrassed for not knowing it. So I thought, why not do a reaction video for this? Mecano, they're a Spanish group formed in the early 1980s, apparently one of the most successful Spanish pop bands of all time. Hijo de la Luna, it means son of the moon, and it's from 1986. Here are the lyrics on the screen. Please do pause and have a read, as I had to take 4 screenshots. It's based on a Romani legend where the Roma woman begs the moon for her to marry a man. The moon says okay, but it will take their firstborn as a payment. The baby is born, but it's white due to being the son of the moon, rather than the darker complexion that the parents have. So the father thinks the mother has cheated, so he kills her. Very intriguing lyrics, so I'm just really curious to see how they set these to music. Let's get straight into it.
Tonto el que no entienda. Cuenta una leyenda que una hembra gitana conjuró a la luna hasta el amanecer. Llorando pedía al llegar el día de esposar un calé. Tendrás a tu hombre piel morena, desde el cielo habló la luna llena, pero a cambio quiero el hijo primero, que le engendres a él, que quien su hijo inmola para no estar sola, poco le iba a querer.
Ooh, just where I paused, sorry. I was pausing because I thought it was the end of the verse, but that looks like a very interesting harmonic change. This song, it's so interesting. And there's one part of it that I feel like I might have heard before. But it might just be the harmony at this point. And also, just before I paused, this chest bump. This is true cinema. I really like this song so far. We'll do our first pause. I'll go over some analysis. If you don't want to hear my analysis, go to the timestamp here to carry on the song. Yeah, I mean, it's immediately intriguing, or fascinating might be the better word, right from the opening. From a rhythmic perspective, we get the bells coming in. And in terms of the rhythms, the time signature, the meter is 3/4, like a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Usually it's the first beat, the 1, that would be emphasized, but here they're emphasizing the 1, 2, 3. They're the beats that the bells are doing. Cha cha. We get some interesting things with the harmony. Really unexpected and almost unconventional, if I can say that. I really like it, and coupled with her soft, light, very airy voice, the words, the lyrics, they're so pronounced. It's strangely hypnotic in a way. Let's take a bit of a deeper look at the harmony. So I'll hop over to the piano and we can go over it. So we're in C sharp minor, the root note C sharp. That's repeated. I'll play the first part and we'll see it's repeated 5 times. And then this is the 5th time when the phrase repeats. 5 is an irregular number, a little bit surprising, but this actually gets the harmonic progression moving, because after this, the bass starts to move, and the bass goes. But that bass part, we actually heard it up the octave from the start. So now the bass part is joining that, doubling its strength. Then after that, it changes a little bit. This is where the melody comes in and the harmony at this point actually changes. So the pattern we heard beforehand, the chords were these. But now the chords are. So some chords are the same, but others aren't the same, which is why the music sounds kind of similar for each of these repeats, but also sounds different. Let me quickly draw up a graphic to explain this, it'll be easier. Okay, that took a bit longer than I wanted, a solid 5 minutes, but I wanted to make it look nice. So we think of the music in terms of bars or measures, each 1, 2, 3. That's one bar or measure. I will call them bars. And we have 4 of these bars in each phrase. So here is the first phrase. Each square is a bar. Here is the second phrase. So to show you what's the same and what's different between these two phrases and why they sound similar but also different, each phrase has 3 minor chords and 1 major chord. The major is the green. Minor chords are sadder sounding than major chords. So both phrases are minor dominated, but the major chord comes at a different time. The second time round, it comes as the last chord. Here, in white, are the differences between each position. The first chord of both phrases, exactly the same. The second chord of both phrases, both minor, but now the chord is actually changed. Third chord, completely different. This one is an A chord and it's major. This is a C sharp chord and it's minor. And then the fourth chord, it's the same chord, G sharp, except the first one is minor and the second one is major. Hopefully making that was worth it and it was a bit easier to visualize. I like that chromatic inflection in the bass part in the left hand of the piano. That's only possible because of this change to the major of this last chord here. The second note, that exists in the major chord. If we were using the minor chord again, then the note would be this instead, which would mean that the bass part would have to go, which to me just doesn't sound as exciting as this chromatic inflection. A bit further on, we get the texture now starting to thicken a bit. We've had this pensive bass drum or timpani type sound, and then other orchestral instruments come in. It sounds like a clarinet to me. Moving into a flute for that descent. And the sound, it's becoming a bit more mystical or fairy-like, or fairy tale-like. With harmony in the vocals now as well. Very, very subtle, very quick, kind of blink and you'll miss them. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting song so far. I'm really intrigued by it. Let's continue from where I paused. It looked like the harmony was starting to change as well again.
Ser madre y no encuentras querer que te haga mujer. Dime, luna de plata, ¿qué pretendes hacer con un niño de piel? Hijo de la luna. Blanco como el lomo de un armiño, con los ojos grises en vez de aceituna, niño albino de luna. Maldita su estampa, este hijo es de un payo y yo no me lo callo. Luna quiere ser más.
Oh, they love their key changes, their modulations in this, don't they? There were a handful of really unexpected ones there. I like it. It's weird. It's weird and wonderful. There was one, well, from where we carried on last time. So we've moved from here to here. The beat has now also come in, but compared to your typical pop song full drum set, this percussion. It's very reserved, fairly similar to the bell sound actually in terms of the... I think of it as a lot of s and t sounds, which aren't the sounds typically produced by a lot of the main components of your regular drum set. The harmony at this point as well, after the key change, it seems a bit more structured.
Luna quiere ser madre y no encuentras querer que te haga mujer.
We're moving down in a stepwise fashion. And then this last chord has a good harmonic function. It's this. The 7th note added in, turning it into a dominant 7th, which then falls, as we'd expect, from a dominant 7th chord, 5 notes down. So if we move 5 notes down from here, let's play it up the octave because it sounds nicer. And the chord of that is... And it takes us back here, right where we started, for this falling cycle to repeat. I was thinking how fragmented some of the instruments in the background sound, such as the flute. A very interesting line, rhythmically quite strange, kind of fitting in between the lyrics. But then the piano comes in to the complete opposite effect. Working so nicely against the vocal melody, or with the vocal melody, should I say. A bit further on, again, just a very unexpected key change.
Hijo de la luna.
Well, the key change itself isn't unexpected. It takes us back to, which is C sharp minor, which is the overall key, the key we started the whole song in. But it's how they decide to get there.
Hijo de la luna.
You may or may not agree with me that that sounds really unnatural, but I think one thing we can all agree on is it definitely grabs our attention. And I like the suspense now, the tension. It's like film music, like it's a score for a film. We've got the violins coming in, very dramatic. We've got the brass. They always add so much suspense, having the brass like a horn coming through, almost like a war horn or a war cry or something. And the beat as well, it's a fuller sound, a richer sound. Boom. The type of percussive sound I was saying was absent earlier. And hey, the lyrics weren't wrong. The boy is very white. If I were the father, I too would be questioning the legitimacy of him as my son. All right, let's carry on. We've had plenty of surprises here.
Luna quiere ser madre y no encuentras querer que te haga mujer. Dime, luna de plata, ¿qué pretendes hacer con un niño de piel? Hijo de la luna. Gitano al creerse deshonrado, se fue a su mujer, cuchillo en mano. ¿De quién es el hijo? Me hace engaño fijo y de muerte la hirió. Luego se hizo al monte con el niño en brazos y allí le abandonó. Luna quiere ser madre y no encuentras querer que te haga mujer. Dime, luna de plata, ¿qué pretendes hacer con un niño de piel? Hijo de la luna. Y las noches que haya.
Oh, there's not actually that much left. We're near the end. I just wanted to quickly say a few things before I forget, and then we'll carry on and finish up. I'm both loving and hating these unexpected key changes. I'm loving them because they're unique, they keep us engaged, they grab our attention, but I hate them because I'm just never ready for them.
Hijo de la luna.
I always say so much of music is context. At that moment, we've got this harmonic preparation that is building up in such a way. And then the next chord we're expecting. We've got this sinking bass part, this heavy beat, but at this exact moment where we're expecting this chord, they instead play one semitone above and major rather than minor. But only for a second, because then we end back here. C sharp minor, the same key the whole song starts in. I really liked the synthetic choir sounding effects that we have. They really added depth to the sound, make it quite a bit more intense, I feel. To say I'm jealous of his hair is an understatement. And then the castanets come in. I don't think we've heard them before in this, have we? And I think it was here, actually. The pizzicato strings high up. What a fitting time to introduce these, because the instrumentation we're hearing elsewhere is focused much more on this kind of darker, deeper sound, sustained notes, the complete opposite to that. All right, let's finish this off.
Las noches que haya luna llena será porque el niño esté de buenas, y si el niño llora menguará la luna para hacerle una cuna. Y si el niño llora menguará la luna para hacerle una cuna.
Oh, there was a really nice dissonance right at the end. Oh, just there, between these two notes. And the ending, very, very similar to the opening in terms of instrumentation. But they're hinting at what's to come, because the piano... The piano is much more sprightly compared to the start. And then what do we get? Well, that really, really interesting song. I'm definitely going to go and listen to this a few more times. Really interesting. You know, when a bit of music you just find is super, super interesting. I guess this is considered pop music, but to me, I wouldn't really call this pop music. It's just so different. I think there's a lot to be admired in that from a musical perspective. Very interesting video as well. Maybe I'll need to check out this group, Mecano, a bit more. Apologies if I butchered that pronunciation. Well, Funny How the World Works received a request for a cover of this, and now I've discovered this great song. Let's leave that one there. Please comment down below other songs you'd like to see me do reactions to, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you enjoy my videos or find them useful, please consider joining my Patreon, linked on the screen now, for access to exclusive content not on YouTube, and I will see you next time.